This week, we're seeing those early fall patterns come into play in some regions with north winds and cooler temps taking the bite from the depths into the shallows.
And then for our coastal regions, we're looking at some tarpon, tilefish, snapper, and amberjack action on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report for our season finale show. Rick, we're officially into fall, which means hunting, football, pumpkin spice, and everything nice, but it also means our last show of the year.
You know what, Bree? It's okay, because the cool part is during the off season, what we get to do is we get to go out and test new lures. We get to go fish with our captains and build B-roll for the next year's season of all the different things that we're out there catching. So guys, make sure you keep track of what we're doing. We may be in a town near you.
We're gonna be doing a lot of things in the off season, that's for sure. But before we get to our first captain for the last time this year, let's see how Dave is doing at the Yak Gear Workbench. Dave, are you okay?
I'm limbering up. Yeah, I'm okay.
You're good. We're good.
I'll be a little sad. Already. There's no doubt. You know, it's the end of a paycheck for me. So.
And seeing everyone's beautiful faces.
6 months of ramen noodles for Dave.
It's all about the money. Ain't a damn thing funny with old Farrell over there.
Absolutely not. We're all going to be on college diets again. This will be great. All right, as if the summer months didn't produce enough great catches, the Fish Bites Middle Coast region is already showing off with the changing of the season. So, Bank, do what you do best. Go for it.
Hey, tides are swelling in the autumn equinox is here. New recruits of tide runners and bait fish are flooding the bay. Every piece of water is a player. It's a great time to be on the water. We've seen great results in September with several big trout released. The great thing about East Matagorda Bay, you don't have to wade to find a big trout. Sure, you need good weather, but half of the trout that we release for clients are from drifted over shell out of the boat. The reefs in East Bay have been players this month with shrimp migrating through the bay. Waders have been working the mid-bay reefs and enjoying excellent results on sheep pups and bass assassins on the edge of those reefs. Then at Port O'Connor, the reefs in San Antonio Bay have been hot with these calm winds. Waders have worked both on the edges of the reef with live bait and soft plastic. Then in Rockport, large trout have been found on Corkies and topwaters in the guts around Carlos and Mesquite Bay. Most of those fish are hanging around the reefs and in the sand and grass potholes. West Matagorda Bay has been good for wading with trout on the south shoreline. Those tossing topwaters are finding bigger fish for these high tides. Half Moon Reef, Coon Island Reef, and Turtle Bay have been good. Conservation efforts and stricter limits have helped our trout fishery. Ask any captain who spends months on the bay, and they'll tell you that our catches have improved drastically, including the quality and quantity of fish. That's a tribute to every Texan who put self aside and release these fish for the good of our fishery. It shows that our catch and release work, has to. Here's to more of the good old days when we were catching 5 to 7 pound trout and they were cheap in Matagorda. Here's to everybody. Thank you for taking care of our fishery. Good things are on the way. Here's a photo. Here's an East Bay fish caught over shell in 5 to 6 foot of water. Bass assassins have been the mainstay this whole year. Redfish action, there's lots of shrimp in the back lakes and marshes, and many will target those fish with small topwaters and live shrimp under a mid-coast cork. Cutoff Flat, Zipper and Bayou, Shell Island, Twin Islands are all players in West Bay. In Rockport, with these high tides, islands bite, and the marshes of San Joe Island holding lots of redfish. The Estes flats are great while drifting with fish bites under a rattling cork. Jetty actions fired off from Freeport to Port Aransas. Bull redfish are making their way to the Gulf to spawn, and rocks and along the beachfront are holding those fish. There's a whole lot of slot redfish at the Port O'Connor jetty right now as well. Waders along the south shoreline of West Bay are working points of shell on bass assassins and Corkies. If you want both redfish and black drum, take a bucket of live shrimp and work those same points. Both of those fish are on those reefs right now. Some of the largest redfish will be found in the middle of East Bay this time of year. When things are really firing off in the fall, there'll be 10 to 20 groups of birds working in the bay. One will have solid trout underneath. The other will be all redfish. Many times when they're working redfish, you'll see birds circling. It's a sure sign there's just a lot of redfish underneath. All those fish begin to move into these bays right now. They're found on grassy shorelines, both on the north and south side. Toss a live shrimp right against the grass, and you'll normally get hit. And also, if you want to wait, those small topwaters like sheep pups and top pups. Offshore action, man, tarpon has really shined. We've had a really good tarpon season in September, and October should be just as good. Lots of big tarpon roaming the beaches and jetties. Light winds and seas less than 2 feet have afforded many great days the last 30 days. Our tarpon fisheries have proven the next 30 days should be the best of 2024. There remains a consistent bite in state waters for red snapper as well as large redfish. Many anglers have reported large schools of bull reds around the rigs and other structures just offshore. That's another great season along our Fish Bites Middle Coast region. I want to thank all the viewers, and we appreciate your patronage. I hope you will take, on the water and use daily to catch more fish. Please continue to practice good conservation practices, sound judgment, and please release more than you take from our bays. And thank you for taking care of our fisheries.
All right, thank you, Bink. Great season. We'll see you at the Bassmasters Classic in Dallas. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Mirror Lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. He says the trout are good on the reefs in East Bay, while drifting with bass assassin redfish action is solid in the back lakes around the schooling pods of fish on Fish Bites and sheepos.
All right, the Seasucker Lower Coast region has provided us with wonderful catches, thanks to Captain Chad Kinney. So let's see what he has for the final report. Trout, reds, flounder, snapper, and tuna. Let's go, Chad.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be doing all that. And we've got some great weather coming up just because this is the last show of our season. It's really solid right from now through October. Then we get into the winter months and stuff, guys. So I'll be using some of my Seasucker stuff for my drinks, taking from the boat and put them in the deer line, and then moving back to the boat for going for tuna fishing. But anyhow, talking about fishing, right now it's really good on the lower coast when you head for the jetties there. Right now we're actually catching trout and redfish at the jetties. And the passes, of course, going to the jetties, fish some of those guts and stuff like that, especially on an outgoing tide. There's been some flounder action there, and that'll pick up when that water starts cooling off even better. Like I said, the jetties been holding both trout and reds, which is really good. Lots of times it's just red, but they're both in there. You hit a trout, then you hit a red. It makes it really, really fun. Head out there early. It's the best time to get out there, in my opinion. Fish the drop-offs, the washouts. It really helps on this when you pretty much almost have to have a Rodan trolling motor out there so you can anchor lock. You can get right up there where you're going to be fishing at, anchor lock it, you're done, you're stuck in one place. You can drop your live baits from working really, really well, croaker or finger mullet. You can free line those right down through there. You can cast up to the rocks with it, or use a Carolina rig with Fish Bites, works really, really good also. Hit those deeper washouts on those rocks and in deeper holes, let that Fish Bite do its job with the scent down there, and they'll pick it up and eat that. If you're using some lures, then you get a heavier jig, get an Eagle Claw jig, and bump it up to about 1/4 to 3/4 ounce. Basically just kind of cast it there, bump it off the bottom, or you can actually vertically jig it, attach it on that jig, put a saltwater assassin plastic on it. Works really good. Like I said, just bump it off the bottom. Those fish can be feeding off the bottom, looking for that bait moving in and out the jetties there. Remember, trout's 3 per person, 15 to 20 inches, and the redfish slot size, 20 to 28. So on those big oversized reds, do your best to go ahead and release them. They kind of get the breeding action going. So moving to flounder, like I said, I'm heading out to the jetties there and stuff. Look for those guts, especially on an outgoing tide. Works really good. Up to the jetty, soft plastics with a paddle tail works really good. With a little bit heavier jig head, use that 1/4 ounce jig head, Eagle Claw. A key thing, remember, is on flounder, you got to, say if you got a 20-foot wide gut, you got to cast and cast and cast over the same area to get the presentation just perfect pretty much for that fish and get them to attract and get that bite going. Best thing to do there is like the power pull down right along the guts, just cast all those areas where you can wade to them. So the key thing is just make multiple casts. Don't get discouraged, but you're going to thump them and you're going to get them, especially on those drop-offs and edges of the grass bed. So had to put Bones, who works for me out here on Bam Bam Charters, got a flounder there. He went and waded and he casted about 30 times in one area, and 31 he popped it. So
nice.
Good little flounder there he got. So moving to offshore state water snapper fishing has been really, really good. Season's open. The blue water so far out, it's like 70, 80 miles out. So if we're going that far, we're heading all the way to floater rigs and really hammering the tuna stuff right now still too, the yellowfin and blackfin. So state water snapper season, like I said, snapper fishing is great. Find some structure in 40 to 90 foot of water. Work that bottom with some Fish Bites bait. The current's been kind of going, tougher, so definitely do that. The storms and the higher tide, so they're holding real tight to the bottom there. Keep the boat in position, and if you have a center console or a boat that can fit a Rodan trolling motor. They make them up to big center consoles can hold them now. You put that Rodan trolling motor offshore, it's really a big game changer. You can anchor lock that thing and just stay right on the fish. It's insane. So keep the baits on the bottom, guys, right now until that current changes, and you go for suspended ones, but keep them down on the bottom. It's fast and furious, 4 per person, 15-inch minimum, state water. So going out to the blue water, like I said, it's way out there. The mid-range stuff is really deep, so right now I'd be going to the floater rigs on the lower coast. The troll bite's been better than the night bite. We've been trolling 5 lines. On the flat lines, we've been using some Savage Max sticks, the speed runners. On the flats there, on the riggers, we're putting out deeper and longer for those tuna. Islander baits rigged with some bigger ballyhoo, some horse ballyhoo. We're pulling Penn 50 wide internationals with 50-pound Berkeley chrome mono on it, trolling about 6.5 to 8 knots. That's for the best results on that stuff. There's been some really, really good stuff. So take plenty of ice key on that stuff, guys. These tuna burn through the ice. So right now we're running a 70 custom, doing plenty of overnight trips. If you guys want to book it, go for it. We'll have about 700 to 1,000 pounds of ice in that boat ready to ice your all's catch down.
Sounds good. All right, bud. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. And it's time for the Lower Coast Hotspots. Chad says the Lower Coast jetties are holding trout and redfish. The guts and cuts going into the Gulf are holding a few flounder in the guts on the outgoing tide early. Then offshore, state water snappers is good in 50 to 90 feet of water. Blue water is 70 plus miles out. So it's best just to troll and head on out to the floater rigs for those tunas he's talking about.
It is best to do that.
Yes.
We got to go do that, Rick.
We're going to do it
and Dave. Dave's coming too.
Late next August.
Okay, there's plenty of space.
Yep.
Lots of ice, lots of tuna, lots of sushi.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Come on.
The Star Chart Middle Fresh region is giving major autumn vibes. But when we return, first, Dave's got rigs and techniques vibes going on at the Yak Air Workman.
We're going to be talking about crappie.
Crappie.
Yeah. Little tiny stuff. It's tiny.
Sounds good to me. With a big bite.
Getting ready to give us the crappie on the crappie.
Crappie on the crappie.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
So it's time for the Yak Gear rigs and techniques here. And so what, Dave, we're going to talk a little bit about crappies tonight.
Yeah, it's one of the most popular fish to fish for in Texas for several reasons. They're really good to eat. You can keep 25 of them. And they usually eat when you find them. You know, once you find them, you can get them to bite pretty easy, so and they keep biting.
A level of 0 to 10, 10 being the hardest. What would you say they are as far as easy, to catch? 4, 3?
They're pretty easy.
Yeah,
once especially like Bree says, if you get that live scope, Bree, she loves to fish. It's like a video game. It is. It's correct.
Yeah.
You get up on a stump or a log, and you put that live scope on it, and the top of it looks like a big palm tree with all glittering fish. You go, oh my gosh, we're gonna tear them up, and you usually do.
Yeah.
They're just really cool. May through October is usually the best time in the main lake brush piles in 15 to 20, 30 feet of water. That's where they're going to be usually in the spring, from March to May. That's when their spawning period is in Texas, so they like to get up in the shallower water, the coves and whatnot, around vegetation, and they'll make a bed, just like a bass will, and they'll, and then so, that's where you'll catch them in those spawning areas, and they, they like to stay together. They congregate in large schools, which is why, you can catch 25 of them in a day. Most of the tackle you can use just about anything, but from a cane pole to a light spinning is probably your best, an ultralight spinning tackle. This is a great setup here. It's a Battalion 2 rod that's 7 foot long. That's ultra fast.
Yeah.
Light
action.
6 pound test line will go well on there, and that's a little Fierce 2500 pin on there. So that's a perfect little crappie rig. You want that ultra fast tip, to cast really light jigs or minnows, on 4 to 6 pound test line, monofilament, and it also lets you feel the bite.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't, jerk when you come back on it, that ultra fast tip, a crappie has kind of a little thin mouth, so you don't want to be jerking the
Right.
bait or the jig out of his mouth.
So
And
you said jig, so I assume we're going to
we
use
got
some kind of
tons-
jig
We
here.
got tons of them there, a little 1/32 or an 1/8 ounce jig with a Bass Assassin Crappie Dapper on there, or one of their panfish, the panfish assassins. Both of those will work really nice, whatever color you like, but a lot of guys really like chartreuse and white, chartreuse and white, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to mimic a minnow. A Malibu jig, the old-timey Malibu jigs, they've probably caught more fish on a crappie on a Malibu jig than any other bait,
Is this called a Malibu or marabou?
I guess it's a marabou jig, isn't it?
Saltwater marabou.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll call it Malibu.
Malibu, marabou, I
For
don't
the
know.
people out
Potato,
west.
potato, it's that sort of thing. But if you're fishing in a spot and you don't get a bite in 10 or 15 minutes, move on. They're usually found right above the thermocline. They don't like to get in the colder water if they can help it. The presentation should be above the fish. You don't want to go below them. They don't like to go down to get their food. They'll like to rise up and get it, whether you're fishing with a minnow or one of these jigs or whatever, which is really cool if you're using, a really good way to control that is using a bobber with a bobber stopper. Because then you can find, the depth that the fish are holding, slide a bobber stopper up to about that depth, put your bobber on, and then put your hook on, maybe with a slight, an Aberdeen hook, a 1/0, like at Eagle Claw Aberdeen.
With their minnow?
With a minnow. And what happens is you can cast that rig out there, and the bait will go down 25 feet, and then that bobber stopper will come to the top of that bobber, and boom, now you're in perfect position for that.
So the
for that
bobber
bait.
stopper is going to be on this side of the bobber,
Correct.
and the line sliding through.
Right. So that way that bobber goes all the way down to the hook, so you can cast.
Got it.
And then once it gets to the the right depth, boom, it stops and hangs right above the fish. You want it to be hanging right above where you see them, where you're marking them. So that bobber stopper really works.
I feel like I just learned a bunch.
Yeah, get minnows.
I'm going to incorporate that bobber system in my tarpon fishing.
That will work.
I know.
It
We're
will
going to
work.
talk more about this during the commercial break.
Okay.
And Malibu.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got to incorporate
Malibu,
Malibu.
marabou.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, we've got your Startron Middle Fresh Region bread and butter with Matt Losher on Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, Richland Chambers, and Granbury. So, Matt, thank you for your wonderful, thorough reports this season. We sure have seen a lot of smiles come through, so let's wrap it up with a few more.
All right, let's do it, Bree. It's hard to believe we're already at the end of another one. Thanks, of course, to you, Bree, and Rick, and Dave, and Jorge, and Nicole, and everybody in the studio there. Love all you guys, and you guys are always doing great work. But let's get to it on these fish. We're going to start with the largemouth bass on Toledo Bend. More cool temperatures across the Middle Fresh region this week continue the early fall pattern that we've been in. The north winds that have brought it in have positioned these fish in places where wind-blown current is going to create some good feeding opportunities for the bass and good catching opportunities for the anglers. So you're going to want to focus this weekend on places where that wind is pushing water across shallow points, especially if it has a creek channel swing against that point, really congregates those bait fish and congregates the bass with them as well. And then if there's a mud line caused by some wave action from the rough wind, that's a great place to catch them too. The bass love to sit along those mud lines and ambush bait. So that's where your crankbaits are going to come in, spinner baits, even umbrella rigs can be great right now. And then a Texas rig and a Carolina rig are there to play cleanup. I've got a photo here for you of my fellow guide, Mr. Brandon O'Neill, showing off one of those beautiful Toledo Bend bass from this week. Y'all give us a call and we'll get you set up with Brandon. He'll put you on some big ones.
Looks good.
All right. Yes, sir. Let's move over to Sam Rayburn. Last week's dry and hot weather led to a faster dropping of the water level over there, but it's still only about 6 inches below full. This steady dropping trend, though, is going to continue to pull more fish off of the flats and out to the edges of the drop. This will eventually eliminate some places that have been productive lately, but it's going to create some new ones too. So you're going to want to look near the mouth of the creek where you've got good depth and along stretches of the main lake where you're going to find large concentrations of shad, and then look to the drop-offs closest by for those fish to be set up. This fall weather we have coming this weekend should have the crankbait bite really turned on. It's already been good. This should make it even better. Texas rigs, fish with a fast, steady hopping motion should be really great too. But if you encounter some dormant periods, that's where the Carolina rig comes in and it'll play cleanup. But it's always fun. We can get away from it for a little while and throw those crankbaits and Texas rigs a little more aggressively. Okay, now let's go up to Richland Chambers. Mr. Thurman Selman up there with Bass Specialty Guide Service, always keeping us in the loop all season. I want to say thanks to him for all the great reports too. He says that the fish have been holding on hard bottom areas, particularly on the north side of Hickey Island. And he says that a big, long Bass Assassin worm or a bigger jig with a whoopah craw trailer have been the best for that pattern. But as the temperatures cool, more of the bass are going to begin chasing shad. And he says a spinnerbait or a bladed jig are ideal for that bite when they start chasing them. So keep an eye out for that, especially this weekend. We've got some really cool temps coming through. That could be happening. Moving over to Granbury. I haven't touched on that lake in a while, but I've been hearing a lot of great reports this week. So I wanted to get in on that one. Lots of good fishing reported over there at Granbury, and they say that the bass are hanging out near the mouths of the creeks and around docks and laydowns around the mouths of the creeks. Up the river above the community of Granbury there has been producing good catches as well. Crankbaits and soft plastics have been getting the bites there. And once again, that should get even better as this front moves through this weekend. Should really jumpstart that fall bite, make it even better. So exciting, good stuff for that. Now let's switch it over to the crappie. We're going to hit on Sam Rayburn first. The crappie continue to stack up over there in 20 to 35 feet of water. Lots of big numbers, catches reported over there lately. They've barely been tearing them up since that water's finally come down. The fish have been biting jigs and minnows both pretty well, but the jigs are producing just a little bit better on Rayburn. All right, now coming back over here to Toledo Bend, the crappie bite has been really good this week. I had a great day out there catching them today myself. The fish are still holding in 20 to 30 feet of water here on the timber, and they're suspending about 12 feet down from the surface. They have been biting jigs way better than minnows over here on Toledo, though. For whatever reason, they just haven't been wanting the minnows as much. They don't like the boat being on top of them especially. And if the wind's blowing, it makes it hard to do the cork deal. So the jig has just been the ticket. Monkey milk has been the best color. And as the weather cools, the minnow bite may pick back up. So just keep your eye out for it with the cooling weather. Keep trying that minnow. But right now, it's all about the jig. And we had a great time this week with one of our all-women groups. I got a photo here for you of them. They really smashed on them with myself and my fellow guy, Mr. Michael Shanley. We absolutely had a blast with those ladies. We always do. And I just want to remind y'all, hey, give us a call for that fall bass or crappie trip. The October is already filling up fast. I've really enjoyed sharing all the reports this season. It's been a great one with great catches. Thanks to everybody for watching. And y'all feel free to reach out to me with any questions during the off season. Love you guys.
All right, bub. Thank you so much, Matt. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine hotspots from the Middle Fresh region. Our guy Matt says the bass are feeding heavily on shad near the mouths of the creeks on the drop-offs. Crankbaits and soft plastics are the hottest baits. The crappie are holding on timber in 20 to 30 feet, biting jigs the best.
Man, I love seeing a fishing-inspired girls trip. That makes me so happy. We need more of those.
Yes, I think you ought to get all your hot friends and
fish.
And I'll have the boat ready. We got a big front runner. We can load that up.
Oh,
yeah, man.
You're so sweet. Look at you. Bless your heart.
Only for you, Bree. Only for you.
And my friends. Okay, well, we aim to please here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, and we're making it happen for y'all in the lower and upper fresh regions when we come back. But remember, just because we're off the air until April 2025 does not mean we are gone. Scan that QR code to see our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, for reports and continuous fishing adventures, plus our website to get in touch with our captains and keep up with everything fishing in Texas. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited. Leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Rick, we've been sitting in front of this beautiful skeeter boat all season long. So for those that may not know, let's talk about some of the comparisons between a bass boat and a bay boat.
That's a good question. You know, guys, so here's what you need to understand. Skeeter builds these boats with two different markets in mind. You got to understand that in a bass boat like this FXR 20, a lot of the weight has been taken out of the bow because the boat is designed with a pad, so it's going to allow the boat to run bow up. Hence, that's why they have all that tackle storage in the front, Bree, with all those tackle trays. So by the time they fill that up, that could be 100 pounds. Now, in the front storage of a Skeeter Bay boat, you wouldn't want to load up the front hatch. And the reason why is because then when you trim the engine up and you're running across these big, deep bays, guess what's going to happen? The boat's going to want to plow a little bit. So you got to keep in mind that where you place all your equipment is really important because they designed the boat to enhance that.
Right.
Certainly, the rod lockers on both boats are going to lock. But when you get to the center of the boat, the console area, in a bay boat, because we're running across big bodies of water, guess what? We're going to be standing up, leaning up against a leaning post. So in this particular case, in a bass boat, what guys want to do is they want to have their fanny in a seat. They want to have their legs forward so that they're not going to get ejected if they hit a boat wake because the boat runs really nose up because of the pad that's built into the bottom of the boat. Now understand, Bree, in both cases, this boat's going to be rigged with the SHO 250. Now, what that means is the bay boat's designed with a step bottom, a pocket, and it's going to allow you to jump up in real shallow water, 18 to 20 inches with the SHO 250. There's no way you're jumping a bass boat up in 2 feet of water. So the whole thing is the way they're designed. The live wells are designed for big bass in the bass boat versus we're going to carry lots of bait, pilchards, maybe pinfish, crustaceans, or 2 big redfish in a tournament. So that gives you an idea. If you guys have any questions about any of the Skeeter product, go to skeeterboats.com and tell them Rick sent you.
Or email Rick personally.
That's
How
right.
about that?
I'd
He
be
knows
happy to
everything. All right, now it's time to catch those lower fresh giants with Matt Reed on Choke Canyon, Fayette County, Travis, Bastrop, and Buchanan. Can't wait to see more of those Falcon specials next April, Matt.
Hi, sounds good, Bree. Let's get this thing kicked off on the final show of the year. Can't believe we're already at the end of the road here. Falcon Lake, my bass are cooperating well. We caught a couple of feet of water, or much needed water lately that give us a little bit of rise. There's a ton of activity on the shallow rock. Square bills and quarter ounce shaky heads are our best producers for those fish. A bunch of these fish are small, but there's occasional big one thrown in up there in that shallow water. My main place pattern right now for catching the Falcon specials is definitely on the main lake rock in 12 to 18 feet of water. Catching those fish on football jigs, heavier shaky heads, and the Berkeley dredger crankbaits. It's a great time of year to come down here and catch some giants. Mike Bates, sent a report from Choke Canyon. The boat ramp's still open for now. Hanging on. Water's getting pretty low, but it's still usable. There's still some grass trying to grow on the main lake. That's where most of the good grass is. Swim baits and chatterbaits have been best. Most of the fish around the grass have been 3 pounds or less. The best pattern for big bass has been the brush piles. Texas rigs, either ribbon-tail worms or Cinco-style baits have been the best presentation. You want to use your active target to line up on those brush piles, see what level the fish are sitting at in them, throw the worm through it, and that really lets you be precise in covering the water to make a presentation to those fish. Fayette County's been fishing really good this week. Been catching a bunch of good fish on top waters along the rocks on the dam. The Jaywalker style bait and the poppers have been working really well. There's also a bite in the evening along the dam doing the same thing. Midday, you want to move out to the points and ledges in 12 to 17 feet of water with a Carolina rig. Red bug and green pumpkins are your best color plastics for that. The schools have been broken, so you got to move a bunch. Catch a few here, catch a few there, move on to the next spot. Brian Cotter, sent a report from Lake Travis. It's been very good in the mornings as you're catching a lot of fish feeding shallow in that new flooded brush. Fluke, swim baits, and small worms have been your best options. When the sun gets high, you want to get out on the deeper ledges and cliffs in that 20 to 25 foot of water. Throw football jigs and shaky heads out to get those bigger bites. If you're one of the guys that loves to throw a deep crankbait, it's a great place to throw one out there and just hope you run into a great big lunker. Like bass trout fishing decent. The discharge is always good early in the morning, throwing small swim baits and shaky heads. Out in front of that discharge a little further, you can find some rock piles, throw shaky heads and jigs or crankbaits there to continue catching throughout the day. Lake Buchanan is fishing really well. Throw shaky heads and Texas rigs on the rock piles. Also, they're catching some good fish in flipping trees in that 5 to 15 feet of water with jigs and crawl worms. There's also, on those same rock piles, a medium or a deep crankbait is definitely adding fish to your creel. Got 2 pictures there. We got Pistol with a great big old falcon bass and Ethan. Those have been caught here recently down here, and I just love adding more of those to the boat every day.
Well, you do a good job at it. Thank you so much. Tell us about the white bass and hybrids, Bo.
All right, Lake Somerville has been fair for the whites and hybrids. You need to concentrate on the main lake. 1 ounce slab spoons and wider chartreuse have been best for when you see them on your electronics under you. Also, if you just want to cover water, troll a hellbender with a pet spoon behind it and about 13 foot of water along the dam. That's produced great mixed bags of whites and hybrids all throughout the day.
Hellbender, you talking about Chad Kinney now, bub. Good job. All right, thank you so much for all your hard work this year, Matt. We're really grateful. We'll see you and talk to you soon. We're going to go and take a look at the lower fresh hot spots. He says that Lake Falcon, it's a great place to be at the moment. The combination of cooler water and small rise has triggered a really good shallow rock bite. Square bills and shaky heads are the ticket. The big ones are out a bit deeper and biting jigs and a Berkeley dredger crankbaits. An awesome 1-2 combination with that dredger and crank and whatever the other thing was.
Richard Murphy, you are on fire tonight, my man. Yeah,
I got so much energy because I know I got 6 months off, Jeff.
You ain't no turnip. You're doing good. Look at you. All right, up next, we're getting the full Upper Fresh Region report with Mike McFarland, who has some jaw-dropping Lake Fork largemouth news. Let's hear it, Mike.
Hey, guys. You guys are always so much fun. I'm sorry I couldn't get studio this year, maybe next year. But let's tell you about some awesome bass fishing happening up here. Possum Kingdom, Pete Hernandez says water temperatures are cooling down. The fish are roaming. They're very nomadic right now, moving around a lot. They're spread out through the rock piles, ledges, points. They're basically piling up in the mouths of the major creeks following the bait fish. If you'll throw crankbaits and moving baits, rattle traps, crankbaits, cover lots of water till you get some bites, and then slow down jigs and your typical bass fishing, big worms, stuff like that. You'll find it better. But you got to move. Very nomadic fish. Ray Hubbard with Joe Shipley. The bait is very thick and shallow, piled up around rocks. A lot of it has to do with rocks, riprap, docks. The shaky heads, your jigs, Texas rigs, and square bills. Great way to fish Ray Hubbard right now. Never talked about this one before, and I'm loving this one. Our former TIRF captain, one of the captains, Johnny Geitz, he reports catching 268 bass in one day from Lake Welsh. It's a power plant lake. He said the bass going crazy. He said they were eating just about everything they threw. Their soft plastics were the best, little weightless flukes or wacky rig worms. But can you imagine catching 268 bass in a day? That is outrageous.
Outrageous.
Exciting
and
day.
then moving on. Of course, those weren't real big fish, but good fun fish. And then moving on to the Wake Up, Lake Fork, home of the Giants, the capita of big bass in the world, and the big bass have moved, and they are shallow. They're on the docks. They're in the vegetation. Pop waters like the Berkeley Bullet Pop. Believe it or not, just letting it sit. Pop it, let it sit. Count to 30, and they just eat it without even moving. The power worms, a lot of those colors like purple and things, just catching a lot of big fish. And here's an example. This is I was teaching my clients about how to flip a dock. And the first flip in, I caught this giant over last week.
Wow. Good for you. Tell me about the crappies, bub.
Crappie. Jackie Wiggins on Fork. He says it's been up and down. We kind of have fall changing things. A lot of movement in fish. The key is about 18 to 28 feet around timber for the black crappie, and then some brush pile fishing 14 to 22 feet. But the 18 to 28 foot seems to be the best. A few fish on bridge pylons and things. But Jackie says, he's working hard to fill the limits there. You really want to just go have great crappie fishing? Go to Bodark. Lake Bodark, the new lake just north of Dallas. You can just fish any with the timber lines, tree lines, fish the outside edges. And once you find a school of crappie there, it's really easy limits. You can see here's a table that Jackie has filled up, and I regret having to go clean all those fish. He's going to work his butt off to clean all these fish.
God, look at the size of some of those, dude.
They're just giant.
All right, what else you got?
Texas does grow them bigger. We're going to go stripers now. Tawakoni said, Matt Cartwright said it's kind of back around. The turnover has settled. 82 degrees main lake. The hybrids of stripers, sand bass, they're schooling early. 4-inch swim baits have been filling the limits. And then moving on a little deeper, 8 to 12 feet on the humps and points with slab spoons. And again, here's another table that Matt always seems to produce. A beautiful, healthy fish on this table of hybrids and stripers.
Nice. All right, give me a little catfish. We're covering the board, baby.
Before we do, I just want to tell you guys, man, end of the season, such an awesome time. I've loved everything that we get to do with you, and it's just a pleasure to be one of the captains. I'm honored, and I can't wait till we get to next year. Moving to the catfish, just like always, they're really good on this part. One of the keys is just to know the depth to be at, and then chum. You chum with the cattle cubes or the sour maize. Right now, 20 to 28 feet in just about any one of the creek swings or tree lines. If you put some of those cattle cubes down, I promise you that there isn't a guide out on this lake that's not putting less than 100 catfish in a couple hours. It's amazing, and they're out great eaters. And then this picture here shows that there's actually some big ones mixed in from time to time. And if you look close, the front of this table is some really big, beautiful catfish.
Wow, that's really cool. Mike, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ducks Unlimited hotspots from the Upper Fresh region. Mike says that the giant bass have awakened at the world-famous Lake Fork. The cooler water temperatures has brought them from the depths of the deep water to the shallow flooded vegetation. Berkeley topwaters and Berkeley soft plastics are producing some of the biggest catches of the season. You know, Bree, his region is sponsored by Ducks Unlimited as far as the hotspot goes. And this is duck hunting time of year. You heard Bing talk a little bit about the early teal season. Guys, you know, Ducks Unlimited, they have a lot of local chapters and they do a lot of fundraising. So you can certainly go to one of their banquets. It's a ball. They have lots of cool guns. They got lots of hunting stuff. I know Texas is full of hunters. So guess what? Get signed up. Go on ducksunlimited.com and find out where the local chapter is and the next banquet near you.
I'm sad the show's ending, but I'm excited for hunting season. Here we go. All right, time flies when you're having fun, and we're already knocking on our last captain's door. Coming up next in the Front Runner Votes Upper Coast region. But first, Dave Farrell is getting ready for his Taco Marine new product at the Acura Workbench.
Yes, we got a little kicking shrimp here, man. Everything eats a shrimp.
Everything eats it.
Some of us are shrimp.
Rick might actually eat that one. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's Powerful tip is about the total boat control package. When you put a Powerful charge in your boat, a Powerful move on the bow, and our shallow water anchors on the back, you save over 80 to 90 pounds on your boat compared to the competition. That's a 43% weight savings. To put that in perspective, that's 20 bags of ice out of the boat, 10 gallons of fuel, or 1,300 jig heads coming out of the boat to give you a shallower draft, a better hole shot, or more top-end speed. That's the Powerful Premium brand. It's hardcore anglers building the best products in the marine industry, backed by the best customer service here in Tampa, Florida. To learn more about Powerful, go to powerful.com, and that's your Powerful tip.
So Dave, it's time for the Taco Marine new products here at the Yak Gear Workbench. Dave, we've got some pretty line here. What do you got?
We got some really nice line there. That's the Berkeley Prospect Chrome. And it's brand new. Just came out a couple weeks ago in September. And it's optimized for trolling, deep dropping, that sort of stuff. It's really soft. It's an 8-carrier premium braid.
Right.
So it's, you know, it's not the cheap stuff. It's good braid, and comes in, you know, different colors, a multicolor for, you know, when you're deep dropping and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you can
A metered line.
Blaze orange, high vis yellow, ocean blue, and white. And that, you know, high vis yellow and blaze orange are great when you're trolling. If you want to troll with braid, because you can see the line and you can make your turns without running over the line. When a fish gets on, you know, you're tracking the line through the water. The captain can see the line, which is very important, you know, if you're going to be trolling, to use high vis line, whether it's mono or braid.
Correct.
So use that. It comes in 20, 30, 50, 65, 80, 100, and 130 pound tests.
I love
So
that.
just about everything that you want to use, you know, braided line for, they've got the size for you. It comes on those 3,000 yard spools.
Lovely.
So go to Berkeley Fishing and get you some of that.
All right.
Next, we've got Savage Gear. These are the Manic Weedless Shrimp, the version 2. It's designed, you know, with an ultra realistic body, contours, colors, and movements. I mean, that thing looks like a real little shrimp when it's in the water. It's the ultimate shrimp presentation with an exposed hook on the top. Yet it can still be weedless. You know, if you push that top down with your hand, you can get a feel of that hook. It's right there.
It is
You
right
can
there.
tie it on directly or use it under a popping cork like you would a live shrimp. Comes in 6 different colors, 3-inch or 3.5 inches as well, and the sizes are 1/4 ounce and 3/8 ounce. You know, you can work it fast or slow. And that's got a really cool little tail. That specially designed tail gives it a lot of action, little kicking action.
Little jubilating.
It's made out of that Tough Tech 12X TPP. It's really, really hard. You know, you catch several fish on it before you have to get the other one out. And it's rigged, weighted with that ultra sharp jig hook on there.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's a really nice little shrimp. And everything eats a shrimp, like I said before.
Yep.
SavageGear.com. Next, we have the Sonar Saltwater Intermediate Slow Sinking Line, fly line for saltwater. Comes with a slow sinking clear head that cuts through the surface and provides an amazing amount of stealth if you're chasing stuff like permit and bonefish or tarpon, you know, in clear shallow water. It's made to, you know, to disappear in the water, that head. Put your flies just below the surface. It's made for salt water. It sinks at like 1.2 feet per second, so your fly will stay, you know, just under the surface.
415 grain.
Yeah, what comes
in a 12 weight.
Yeah, it comes in 200 grain all the way up to 400 grain in a 7 through 12, you know, 6 different weights, 7 through 12 weight line.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Now, when your fly line gets dirty, gets a little gummy, maybe
Right.
you're
sticking together.
Yeah, you're fishing in a place where you got a little nasty water. So many times guys they'll either put the reel up, it's getting tangled every time they go to make a cast.
Or they'll throw the whole line away.
Yeah.
Which you don't need to do.
SA has developed this cleaning pad.
Yeah.
And you don't need any lubricants,
Right.
soaps or anything.
No, it keeps your fly lines clean and supple for optimum cast and micro polishing technology. You use that braid, the hard side, the abrasive side, and you just run it, you know, run your whole line through there. It improves the shootability and flotation.
Shootability.
For easier casting and picking it up and mending the line. And, you know, it's just really good stuff. How often would you do it?
When it starts to feel sticky in your hand.
I
And you
got
know, in the Everglades or in a lot of places where you have tannic water, Dave, which you have a lot of times in the rivers in Louisiana, whatever, that's when it gets nasty and gets sticky because you have all that silty stuff floating on the surface.
Right.
And that'll gum up your fly line.
Right. Well, you go to scientificanglers.com to get both the line and the pads.
That's right. Tell them Ricky Dickey sent you. Right, Bree?
That was some good new producting over there, gentlemen. And remember, guys, anything you see here on the show will be on our website, so make sure you check that out. But last, and certainly never least, we are checking in with the Front Runner Boats Upper Coast region, where we're reeling in some redfish, trout, tilefish, and AJs with Captain Carl Weston. Let's hear it, Carl.
Hey guys, yeah, let's wrap this show up for the year, but definitely not fishing because over in Sabine Lake, those water temps are holding around 85. The slot red's been chasing bait all around the shoreline, along the ICW. In other words, they're everywhere. This pattern's holding all the way back to Galveston Bay. Temps are the same. Over on the oyster reefs in the early morning, those fish are a little scattered out chasing bait. But man, they come together and watch for the gulls. The jetties are hot right now. I don't know what to tell you. If you're not fishing, you're wrong. You need to be out there right now. The outside of the jetties on the beach is on fire right now. The big fish are running. The big bulls are out there catching them on cut shad. Larger fish inshore, shrimp on a popping cork. Your live choice in the bays is going to be the same. And we have a picture today of our buddy Leon, who got him a nice redfish on the inshore side.
Yeah, he did.
Very nice.
All right, what else you got?
Trout, Rick, the trout bite came on steady here at the end of the year, and it's staying with us over there by Texas City Dike. People are tossing hard baits over there in the mornings. It's been a lot of fun. The trout have been feeding early morning over at Christmas Bay. If you know where they're holding some nice sized fish for the smaller boats and the waders who like to come from the shore side. Live croaker and shrimp on a popping cork again has been great. Scented, soft plastic. The gas wells out in Galveston Bay, they're producing good fish as well. What we're trying to tell you guys is get out there and fish right now. I'm telling you, free line of shrimp, anything around some fish right now, and you're going to catch some fish. I've got a picture of Shane and Shanna stacking up the fish on the bow of their boat right here.
They sure did. All right, bub. What else we got this week?
Well, it's been nice weather, so we've been offshore messing with some deep drop. It's a lot of winding up and down on those deep holes, but if you got an electric reel, that's an answer for a lot of us. Abyss Battery comes up with even a better deal is that you can install that battery, strap it to the rod, and you can go around the boat. You're unlimited. You don't have to. You're not stuck to one corner. Catching tilefish is exciting for everybody on the boat because you never know what size or how big or how many you'll have on a deep drop rig. And so the only thing you really got to get down when you find the spot, a bait they love squid, depending on the current. I start with 2 to 3 pounds, and it can vary due to the current, and bait can vary too. Cut bait works good. If you get down there, those fish, they get that scent. If you're on them, you're going to catch fish. Excuse me. And I've got a picture of Natasha with a nice sized tilefish.
Yep, there she is. All right. What else you got, bub?
So, amberjack bite this week. I've seen a lot of big fish coming to the dock. Those guys are fishing in the 200 to 400 foot range. Pretty solid on live bait right now. It was a slow season, but I don't know if the water temp is changing or cleaning up, but out there in that range, about 70, 80 miles on structure, the fish are really hot right now. We're running like a 12-aught hook on about a 12 to 16 ounce sinker, about a 4-foot piece of 150 leader. Drop it down about halfway, like I say. About you're going to see those fish, and they're gonna light you up down there. I got a picture today of Mo and Sean ending this season with a huge reef donkey.
Oof.
Man, that is a big one.
Ouch.
It's painful.
All right, Carl. Well, we appreciate all your hard work. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the upscale glass companies' hotspots. Carl says, in short, you're going to target redfish at the oyster reefs in the morning while throwing a popping cork rigged with live shrimp or maybe a croaker. And then if you want to go offshore, guys, go deep into the mud flats, targeting tilefish just south of the hilltop in 800 to 1,500 feet range using rigged cut squid.
That's it. Woo! Look at that.
Wow.
It's the end of a season. We're surrendering. Guys, get out there. Go catch those
Texas
fish.
never surrender.
No, we never surrender. Thank you, viewers, sponsors, Ara Media Pro Crew. We're back in April, but you know what? You can keep up with us and our captains and our reports on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. Right, Murphy?
Right. You're absolutely right.
And
Dave, Bree, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're all going to be in Texas.
Yes.
Because the Bassmaster Classic is going to be in Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. So we're going to all fly there. We're going to have all our captains are coming. So we'll make sure that you look us up, at the event. We'll probably be floating around either Yamaha or
We'll
the
be there.
Berkeley booth,
You'll see us.
Penn booth, whatever. Be there rooting on all
There'll
of
be a train following Murphy all through the Bassmaster Classic.
We'll probably all be in red.
Yes.
If I had to guess.
Well, I think we might make up some Texas Insider Fishing Report jerseys.
That'd
There
be
you
smart.
go.
That'd be cool. We'll have
We're
a
gonna
Pharaoh.
sport the flag.
Now, the question is, the last name, what are we putting on the back of yours?
Whatever you want.
She's got a stage name. She's got a
have
married
'em all.
name. She got a maiden name.
We'll have them all.
All right.
We'll have a whole list. Thank you everybody for joining us. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel and our website, and we will see you in 2025. Bye.